What's going on, smart people? Today is the last day before finals week. Tomorrow I have my math methods final. It's at 8 in the morning. I'm doing some last minute preparation where I'm going over the previous homeworks now. And now that the course is pretty much done, I'm looking back at the previous homeworks and trying to think of, is there a way to connect that to the future material we did? Because that's what I think the exam is going to be focusing on. You know, if you can only ask 4 or 5 questions on the final, you've got to find a way to tie together all the material. So I'm thinking of what topics you can tie together, you can string together. My thought process is, I think it's fair to expect complex analysis to be coupled to line, surface, and volume integrals, where you end up having this maybe some presented function that you need to do a line integral over, and it turns out that you can't do it without using residue theorem or something like that. I think that's a fair type of question. Maybe some vector calculus stuff, and then now connecting it to like tensor analysis, Fourier series stuff, and delta functions. You could also do, I'm just thinking out loud at this point, but you could also do Fourier and delta function stuff for like spectral representations of Green's functions, which is kind of what happened on the last exam. Something that's pretty cool that my professor said that he's going to do. So I think it's 5 questions, and he said to pick 4 to do, which is pretty cool in itself. And then he also said 2 of those questions are unavoidably going to be pretty much on what the last midterm was. And he said, based on how you do on those 2 questions, if you do better than you did on the midterm, which was only 2 questions, he'll substitute the grade. He'll substitute that section of the final for the midterm grade. I got a B on the midterm, so it's kind of neither here nor there. I don't think I'm going to I don't think I'm going to do substantially better now on something I learned months ago, if that makes any sense. I'm definitely at a point now to where I don't think I have any weaknesses. Having said that, not every topic is a strength of mine. For example, I think I understand tensor analysis and Green's functions better than I understand complex analysis. But all of those topics I still have a practical understanding of. I still know how to solve problems, which as far as a final exam goes is really all that you need. So I think at this point I can benefit the most from not trying to understand things more, but knowing how to solve problems. That's what's important now. I think I understand things as best as I can with the amount of time I have left. Now I just need to put it to the test. I think I'm underselling myself just a little bit. I do have a better understanding that I'm leading on. All I'm really trying to say is if I'm given an unnecessarily difficult problem on tensors or an unnecessarily difficult problem on complex analysis, I'm more likely to get the tensor one right. Even though I feel pretty good about this stuff, I still should use my time as efficiently as possible today, so I hope you understand this video being pretty short. The last thing that I want to talk about is a bit of advice when it comes to finals if you have them coming up for yourself. And it's, you know, it might sound as kind of like a bullshit advice, but really try not to psych yourself out. And the reason I say this is because, you know, in the beginning of a semester, it's kind of like a blank slate. You have no idea how your professor's lectures translate to what they will test you on. There's a difference between pitching information and collecting it. And this difference is prior knowledge. Your professor knows what they know, and it can be kind of hard to assess what your student knows. So those first quizzes and exams can, you know, hit or miss. But at this stage, you have so much data that you've accumulated. You have those previous homeworks, maybe previous quizzes, exams, lecture notes, examples in class. You have all of this stuff so that you can paint a picture of what you think this final exam is going to be on. Take a step back, go over your homeworks, go over your lecture notes first, take your previous exams as if they were actually your exams again, so no referencing anything, and you're going to be fine. I'll admit that it's a little bit different if your final exam is not cumulative, so if you're just being tested on the most recent section and you don't have a previous exam on that to look back on. I mean, but for this, you really just have to do more self-reflection on your previous exam that's unrelated to that. What did you think was too outside of the box that you still got tested on? So do that self-reflection, pick your professor's brain, send them emails or see them during office hours. Professor, I went through the homeworks, I went through the previous exams, I understand that completely. More generally, I understand how to solve these classes of problems. Is there anything that I'm missing? It's kind of like emission and absorption. It's like just because your professor put out all of this information in class to say, here's a general overview of what the final exam is going to be on, does not mean everything's going to be absorbed. So it's completely reasonable to say, okay, based off of what you said, this is my game plan. So everyone, good luck with finals. Budget your time by studying honestly. What do you know? What do you know that you know? What do you know that you don't know? And what do you not know if you know, because that problem looked a little bit tedious and you didn't actually go through the entire thing. Study efficiently by speaking with your professor until you have a firm understanding of what's expected of you. Let me know in the comments section how your studies are going. I'll see you guys there.